Hello, today for review I've got a really interesting hybrid in-ear monitors by Shanling, and actually they a bit misnamed or mislabeled this model because they named it ME700 Lite. And you probably know that usually Lite is referenced to something more affordable with some reduced scope of features, but that's definitely not the case here, because Lite is here more referencing the sound signature and the overall design. They are not more affordable and they are not simplified in none of the ways. I already reviewed original ME700 and it was interesting hybrid in-ear monitors with dynamic driver with gold-plated diaphragm and 4 balanced armatures. Here they changed the dynamic driver using some transducer with titanium coated diaphragm, and they retuned the sound to deliver more natural signature, but still it's a 5 driver hybrid with single dynamic driver and 4 balanced armatures. Price is $500, and actually let's have a closer look. So, package is a bit smaller than it was for the ME700. They decided to make everything lighter. And you can see 16 ohms of impedance, 109 decibels of sensitivity, pretty good figures, not too sensitive, not too hard to drive, something in between. And outer wrap we can remove, and here is the internal box. And as usual, on top there are earpieces themselves. Let's pull them out, and here we will get additional accessories. Organization of box and presentation is pretty nice, so let's remove all the stuff that we don't need right now. So you will get a cleaning tool, nice leather case, looks unusual and pretty stylish, and also it's pretty good for storing earphones. And 3 set of tips, balanced, sound stage and vocal. So as usual it's hard to choose, so I want my earphones to be balanced, but I want good sound stage and I want a good vocals anyway. It's a matter of experiment and finding the ones that will suit your tastes more, as usual. So they changed the design a little bit. Now here used white glossy plastic to show that they are lighter, they are different from their previous model, and actually it looks pretty good, at least at my scale. I really like this design. They are a bit heavy, probably because of drivers used inside, but they are also smooth in terms of finish. They are nice in terms of ergonomics, they fitting nicely into ears. They have a good extension of spout, so sound isolation is even slightly above average. There is a lip for holding the tips and protective grille, so no dirt will get inside. I really like this design, I really like the build quality, so they probably on the necessary level for this price tire. Here are pressure relief holes, so it will solve the issues with pressure equalization, and they used replaceable cable with MMCX connectors. Connectors are pretty hard fitting, so I hope they will serve for a really long time. And stock cable also Shanling decided to make fancy and premium. It's copper with silver and gold plated strands, and actually it looks this way. Here are ear hooks, they are good in reducing microphonic noise, they are good in holding the cable around the ears. They even put special metal tips on the end of ear hooks, And the cable itself goes nicely braided to let's undo this velcro. So it goes to the metal splitter with chin slider, and after that it goes braided down to the jack. So they decided not to do something fancy, no replaceable connectors or adapters, just basic 3.5mm jack. Cable itself is average in terms of softness, not super soft and not super hard. Microphonics is low for it. It's pretty comfortable, maybe not the most comfortable, but that's the case when they put the cable's acoustic performance or sound characteristics at the first stage, and not making it super soft, but still it's a pretty nice cable. So to summarize everything in terms of presentation and design, I'd say that they are done on the level that corresponds to the price. Everything is pretty good. And of course about the sound, I gave them about 40 hours of burn-in, and there were slight changes in sound during first 10 hours or so. So if you decide to get them, you can spend some time burning them in before trying to experiment. Or you can just start listening them. It won't be a big issue, so while you will be experimenting with tips and testing new tracks, their sound will settle. They will improve a bit resolution, and also treble will become a bit more extended. But anyway, let's have some player on the table. And this time I decided that Shanling will be a good pairing for the Shanling. And actually, you know, I have a assumption, or I have a suspicion that I suspect that they tuned this model for their M8 flagship because the pairing is really nice. While regular ME700 was a really good model, but it was a model tuned in Shanling style. It was tuned for those who like weight, who like analog sounding mid frequencies and accented low frequencies, and for those who want bit reduced treble. This one is more like tuned in more traditional way, more suiting regular tastes. I haven't seen the measurements, but they sounding a bit V-shaped, but without overdoing that, without good resolution. Oh, sorry, with a good resolution, of course, and with nice and pleasant sound. They are not natural and monitoring, but of course they more close to natural tuning compared to regular ME700. So bass is accented, accent isn't big, but it's not small also. It's kind of average accent, just enough to sound satisfying and pleasant, but not overdoing low frequencies, and bass here is really well balanced. It has a nice resolution, so changing the dynamic driver definitely played its role, and lows here are a bit faster, with more detalization, with a slightly more focus on the micro contrast, giving a bit more natural sound, a bit richer in terms of overtone saturation, but still it's a dynamic driver with accent, and it means that when it's necessary, lows here are pretty weighty and with a good kick. Depth is also good, they're going to the really good depths, maybe not maximum, but still nice, and it controlled well, both on the mid and deep bass, and it's suiting really good both electronic music and natural acoustic instruments. Acoustic instruments are a bit bigger than they should be, but still sounding really engaging and pleasant. And I must admit that also lows stays on their place, and in general model is very coherent in terms of tuning, and the stitching of frequency bands is done really nicely here. And first example, it's Hugh, Laurie, Wild Honey, and nice bass line, nice drums, and all that stuff is played really well by these earphones. A bit boosted to sound a bit more effective, but that's probably we can expect here, and it's typical for Shanling to create to add a bit of fun to the sound signature of their products. You can see that they look nice and pretty fancy. And mid frequencies are also really balanced. They are a bit more resolving comparing with regular ME700. They are mature in their representation, but at the same time they're not going too deep into the micro detalization, so they are fairly well balanced too, balancing between the micro and macro and not overdoing anything. They are pretty good with well recorded stuff, but with poorly recorded tracks they are also acceptable. But of course it's better to use something properly mastered and recorded in order to show their full potential. Resolution is good, but without excessive focus on the micro contrast that will give too clinical or too monitoring sound. Emotions are good, but without artificially highlight them. Weight is nice, but also without big boost. So nice, like middle way, balanced way of tuning, basically playing what is present in record and not more than that. And the imaginary stage is above average in width and in depth, noticeably above average, not the hugest one, but still pretty impressive and big. And as an example for the mid frequencies, let's go back too much. So Nightwish, Imaginarium, Slow, Love Slow. I like this ballad, I like that cabaret style they've decided to go here. I like that vocal duet here, so basically everything is done really luxury in a really luxurious way, and these earphones are suiting nice to this track, unveiling of all emotions but not coloring anything. And treble is boosted here, but not too much, so for me they are on the pretty comfortable level. But of course, if you're sensitive to the treble, it's not the model that tries to hide them or to smooth them or to do something with them. And it's a great improvement over ME700, you know, for me, because it's a matter of taste. If you don't like treble much, ME700 could be your relief, could be a great option for you. But for me, I like more treble, and I got more treble with ME700 Lite. Good extension, above average, not the best one, but above average, and that means that you will need something with properly recorded treble, and it's clean, crisp, natural treble with a lot of overtone saturation, with good overtone saturation, with basic but well-defined layering, and of course with good resolution and pretty natural attacks and decays, and all that stuff gives nice small decays, gives airiness to the record, and so on. So upper part done in airy, nice way without overdoing or over smoothing anything. And as an example for the treble, I already spoiled this track and show it to you. It's Led Zeppelin, Going to California. If you heard this track, you probably know why I've selected it. If you haven't heard it, pause this video, go find it on YouTube and then came back. I really recommend you. Nice guitars, great vocal, and all that stuff goes to the treble area, and this model plays it pretty nicely. Speaking about the sources, probably the best choice for them will be Shanling own depths, because they definitely have a good synergy, especially with M8, at least to my taste. And M6 Pro sounds also pretty nice, but of course they are not limited to the Shanling dubs. You can use them with other players, but it should be something mid-level and higher, because that's the model that has a potential of growth. So basically starting with Hugh M11 and up to Shanling M8 is their range. Of course you can use Shanling M6, M6 Pro and so on. And speaking about the compressions, just a few references, because a lot of models here anyway. So Dunu DK3001 Pro. Dunu is more natural, more focused on the micro contrast, a bit more monitoring with less emotions and added, and with bit less bass and bit less warmth. And what we've got here too, Fio's FA9, it's a typical situation of compressions. FA9 is pure balanced armatures, and that means that bass is a bit more resolving, but at the same time with a bit less weight. On the mids they are more or less on par, and they show a bit similar tuning. On the treble, Fio is a bit more extended, but this one is a bit better defining treble, at least to my ears. A lot of other models actually, but I can't recall anything right now. So yeah, comparing with regular ME700, it's totally night and day situations. This one is more natural, less weighty, more resolving, and so on. In the future I will review some other models, so maybe will be more compressions. If you need some compressions with other models, feel free to ask in comments, because I definitely forgot many popular models. And anyway, Shanling created a nice model ME700, but ME700 Lite, they just mislabeled that model, because it's not Lite, it's more like ME700 Pro or something like that, at least to my taste and to my sound preferences, because it's more resolving, a bit more focused on the resolution, on the detalization, a bit less relaxed comparing with ME700, but more audiophilic. So bravo Shanling for the releasing this model. I think it's a good move from their side. Thank you for listening, thank you for your attention, and of course have a nice day.